Okay, we can get started here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Morgan. Thank you for taking the time to hop on the webinar today. We appreciate your time, and we're really looking forward to finding some new opportunities to market with you for this upcoming year. Just to quickly walk through our agenda, some of our partners launched before our partner team was officially formed, so I'll just walk through the current status of our partner team, how we'll be collecting interest for anything that you see in this webinar that aligns with any of your business goals, some content updates that we'll be doing within the next couple weeks. Then I'll walk through our current partner program status. Kyle Tryon will provide a demo on how to pull some integration usage numbers. And then we'll hop into the 2020 partner marketing opportunities. Some of them are familiar and some of them are new this year. And we'll just wrap up quickly by talking about how we'll measure the success of these campaigns as well. And just a couple notes that I want to point out from the beginning. These slides will be shared after the webinar. And anything that aligns with your goals or is interesting to you, please submit that through the partner marketing planning form, which is linked throughout this webinar. It's been sent in emails and it will be sent in a follow-up as well. Any questions that you have throughout the webinar can always be sent through the chat. I can try to talk through them as they pop up, or there is a session at the end for Q&A and brainstorming as well. So just to hop in, this is our current partner team. We have Rachel Israel, who's our technology partner manager. She sits on the business development team and leads our strategic alliances, as well as our first class integrations. She reaches out to new partners and sets them up from the beginning. Then we have Kyle Tryon, who's our community and partner engineer. He is your resource for any technical questions or adjustments that you want to make. Most of you have probably worked with him as you've built your integration. And then my name is Morgan. I'm on the product marketing team along with Erin. Once you launch, you most likely will work with one, if not the both of us, for any activities that you do moving forward. And like I mentioned, during today's webinar, we're going to be talking through a lot of different marketing activities. To submit interest for those, we're introducing this partner marketing planning form. It's linked throughout the deck, and it will be the central place that we go to check any responses that we get. I wanted to point out that these responses can be edited. So some of the questions you'll see in the form are topics for meetups or potential customers for a case study. We don't expect you to have those ready to go within the next week or so. So as the year progresses and those opportunities pop up, you can always go back in and edit your responses. Just to start off, within the next couple weeks, we are going to be doing a website audit on our integrations page on our website. On this page, every partner has a listing, which incorporates their company bio, a link to an orb, and then any external content that they want linked onto their listing. So if you can take a couple minutes and go check yours out, if you've produced external documentation since you've launched with us, a video tutorial or potentially a blog post, or maybe you've rebranded, please send us that information so that we can make sure we get it all updated in the next couple weeks. And I want to point out from the beginning the fact that we've introduced battle cards. If none of the activities mentioned today are really of interest to you, this is the most important thing that I would like to stress. We're asking that every partner create one battle card, and there's a template linked here on this slide. This will be a dual purpose battle card that we will use for any marketing we do with your company. The screenshots you see here are the external one-pagers we create from that template. And then it'll also be used for internal sales enablement tools. Our revenue team has been growing at a very rapid rate, and so has the amount of partners that we have launched. We think that these battle cards are going to be the perfect way to keep the knowledge of the integrations current. And if an SDR or a CSM ever gets a question about your integration, they'll be able to quickly pull up this material and answer it in a knowledgeable fashion. So if there's nothing else that you see today, please fill out this battle card and get it back to us. The turnaround time is a week or two where we send you the draft of what it looks like, and then we can just finalize it and get it up in our systems internally. So how have we been doing so far? We launched our partner program in November 2018, and since then we have over 70 verified partners and over 1,200 orbs between Circle CI, partner, and community authored. From a marketing standpoint, we've produced 4 themed campaigns, which I'll talk through in a minute. And the main channels that we've been focusing on are email, webinars, and meetups. Those channels are still very much so important in 2020, but there are some new activities that we're introducing. To quickly walk through these themed launches, these are 8-week themed campaigns that are focused on one use case. We feature existing partners within that use case, but also aim to launch new integrations. And there's a lot of marketing collateral that goes into these as opposed to a normal monthly partner launch. We create a dedicated landing page on our website, a one-pager, we launch a paid ad campaign, we do a lot of press, we do a blog post on our website, and we work with any partners that are involved in the launch on other marketing opportunities that they want to pursue. The reason that we do these is because we're seeing a lot of excitement and a lot of good results from these. Each of those launches has gotten at least 6 placements in the press. Some of those have gotten 12, but at least 6 across the board. As far as page traffic to those landing pages, we're seeing that each of those pages gets an average of 5,000 views per quarter. And then authorizations, we also measure. We're seeing that around 200 authorizations from those pages come in as well. If we reach out to you about an upcoming theme launch, I want to stress that nothing new is required. By default, if you're in that theme that we have chosen, your logo and your bio will be included in all of the materials that we're producing. The only thing that would be needed is if you wanted to pursue an additional marketing opportunity on top of that, such as a webinar or a meetup, that would be the only thing that you'd be required to do. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Kyle. He can walk you through some technical adjustments that we've made within the last year that feel free to share. If your technical person is not on the webinar right now, please send these slides along to them afterwards. And he'll also walk you through how to pull your integration usage numbers from the CLI.
Hello, everyone. As Morgan just said, I just want to go over some quick technical points before we go on towards usage to show what you can do to improve your orb and make it more healthy, as we want to say. And our healthiest orbs are often our most used orbs. So the better we can make these integrations, the more we expect users will use them. The first bulletin point I have here is just to follow our orbs best practices documentation. Everyone who's on this call has already seen this document, and all of your orbs are already up to best practices. That really only matters when we're talking about updates going forward or any new orbs that are created. Something we really want to make sure that is being handled is that as all orbs are open source and exist on GitHub, it's very likely that the community will get involved with opening issues and pull requests, and we just want to make sure that at least once a quarter, a representative, a technical contact from that orb integration is going over these issues and pull requests to make sure that these, sometimes they're feature requests, sometimes they're bugs, but we want to make sure that these are being addressed. Another small point is, as all orbs are released on the orb registry, they are open source and licensed under the MIT license. So it's not a bad idea to add the MIT license to your GitHub repository that holds your orb source code. Thank you. Something we want to go over, since we have a large number of people here, is something that's coming very soon, but I highly encourage you or your technical contact to act upon this as soon as possible. It is nearly implemented. There is a new key in orbs, the display key, which has 2 subkeys, home URL and source URL. As you can see in the screenshot below, if you add the home URL, you can actually, within the orb source itself, put a link to your web page or the product page, and that will appear on the orb registry for your integration. And very shortly, we will have on the registry the source URL, which should point to the GitHub repository. That'll help users both find out more information about your product as well as contribute to the open source orb. And this is a big step for creating a new orb, but it's also something I would highly recommend looking at for improving the quality of contributions that might be made to your orb. We have now the Orb Starter Kit, which is a little CLI tool that you can download off GitHub and run it to create new orbs or use it as a template for updating your existing orb. What this will do is it will actually, it's a CLI tool with steps. It'll ask you a few questions, and when you're done, you'll have an automatically generated new orb with source code included for a Hello World orb. It will come with a fully generated README file. And the most important piece, and the piece that I would like to say, if you already have an orb, this is the part of this that I would highly recommend looking into. There is a full CI/CD pipeline included, which you could take that file right from here and use it in your own orb. And what that's good for is it's going to make community contributions much easier to deal with because you can actually include integration testing for your orb, as well as automatically publish new versions of that orb as you merge in these changes. Currently, you may be aware that if you are to get any community contributions, you can of course merge them in, but as there is no default pipeline enabled, it is a manual CLI task to then update that orb so that it reflects the changes on a registry. Using this, you'll be able to do that all automatically. So if you have a moment to take a look, I would highly recommend taking a look at this. And in the next slide, we'll show you an example of how that looks. So we've just updated a whole bunch of our orbs using the new orb starter kit. So here's an example of the README file that is completely automatically generated. Once you run the CLI, you'll have a new repository on GitHub. It will have the source for your orb in it, as well as everything you're seeing here. One of the big pieces you can see towards the bottom is the how to contribute section. So any PR that has in the Git subject this special string, which designates what type of update you are publishing, so semver and then patch minor major, you can release that and it will automatically go through Circle CI, run your integration tests, of which there's an example in that repository below. And lastly, if you are curious how your orb is doing, you can run using our CLI tool, the Circle CI CLI, Circle CI orb info, namespace / your orb name. Snyk is being used as an example here, and that will show you the statistics of the orb within the last 30 days. You can see how many projects are using it, how many orgs are using it, and then the total number of builds that were ran between all of those orgs and projects.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so what is next for our partner program? There are 4 major goals that we would like to accomplish in 2020. The first of which is to tighten our partner marketing strategy within North America, and then expand partner activities to APAC and EMEA. We also want to pursue more activities targeted towards the open source community. And something that you can look forward to this year is an ecosystem launch for users and partners. Orbs are considered a shareable external piece of the platform. There are other things such as convenience images, API docs, that we also want to bundle into this ecosystem experience that will really take us from a platform to that larger ecosystem feel. The way that we are hoping to accomplish these goals are through a variety of marketing channels. Probably the easiest is conference marketing. I've gone and highlighted some events that we are sponsoring in Q1 and hoping to sponsor in Q2. These are by no means all of the events that we'll be attending. So part of that form that you'll see is a place where you can list out any industry conferences that you're sponsoring. If you don't see them on this list, this is just a very shortened version. We are very happy to work with you during these conference opportunities. And there's 3 different things that we can kind of pursue. The first and the easiest is a passport program. For these, we just ask that every partner involved contributes a raffle prize in order to join the passport. The way that these work is users, booth visitors, are encouraged to visit every partner booth in order to get entered into the raffle for those prizes. So the reason that these are so beneficial is because they increase booth visits as well as lead generation. And it's of course a great brand association tool. Our partners are all best in breed for their section of the DevOps toolchain. So it's always great to have your logo side by side with some of the other great players in the industry. Less frequently, Circle CI also participates in other event-related activities. If you're hosting a speaking session or a panel and you would like someone from Circle CI to sit on that, we're always happy to partner in those opportunities. If we launch a larger feature or integration with you, we can also do some joint press interviews because we find that conferences are a big place that journalists like to find the latest and greatest technologies. And finally, we can also do coinciding activities outside of the event. So for example, KubeCon EU is happening in Amsterdam the first week of April. And something that we could do, if partners were interested, is host an event in the area or in London, for example, the week after the event. We are also co-sponsoring the AWS Summit in Singapore, like you saw on the last slide. So if we wanted to co-host an event the day before, we know that that market is going to be interested since everyone is going to be in town for that conference anyway. I also just want to address a couple frequently asked questions that we get from partners. Some of our partners ask if we can do product demos at conference booths. Recently, our events manager and our design team have changed the layout of our booth, and it's making it hard to display partner demos. It really isn't set up for that anymore. However, if you think that your booth visitors would benefit from a demo, either of the orb or just quick Circle CI information, we're happy to send over someone to help with that at your booth. We also get a question about partner guest blogs on our Circle CI blog. We've shied away from this content at the beginning of last year because we found that it wasn't performing as well as our other blog posts. However, if there's one produced on your website, we're happy to promote that through our various channels. The blogs that we found successful from partners are very technical, or they really tell a much larger story than just the introduction to the partner integration. Continuing on with community engagement, we've participated in some meetups within the last few years, but as far as a partner standpoint, we really want to take these global in 2020. We are happy to co-host almost any city in North America. And then I spoke to both of our managers in the APAC and EMEA regions. And these are some targeted focus areas for us as well. So if you have existing communities, or these are communities that you want to reach in London, Berlin, Paris, the other cities listed here, please submit those through the form. We are really going to be focusing on those, so there's definitely a lot of opportunity to work with partners in those locations. And as far as the actual topics for these community events, we really want them not to be sales oriented. So we want the topics to be a little bit more than, we are Circle CI, this is the partner bio, this is how the integration works, thank you all for coming. We want to focus on open source. We know that Kubernetes is a big topic. Industry best practices, or total solutions for DevOps, we found are really exciting topics in the community. Obviously, we're not limited to those. If you know of a topic that really excites your audience, please submit that through the form as well. Okay, moving on to customer stories. A few members of our content team are actually going on maternity leave within the next couple quarters. So our content team's bandwidth is going to be a little tighter than it normally is. However, we don't want to lose that momentum in marketing. So if your team is interested in producing a customer story with us, we're just asking that the partner takes the lead on getting interest, identifying and getting interest from the mutual customer. Again, once you have those, please submit them through the form, and just send us the customer name that's interested and the timeline that you're expecting Circle CI's input for content edits or other drafts as well. For these customer stories, we'll send over some typical questions. We'll, of course, sit on the customer interview to actually engage and talk through, and then we'll co-author the piece with partners as well. There's, of course, distribution with that after the fact. We can also host it on our website. So these are really good pieces of content, especially because they showcase that the integration use case is useful for an audience. We're also hoping to introduce more sales enablement opportunities with our partners. We want to give out the opportunity to sit and lead a session with our customer-facing teams to talk through how to train the teams on how to talk to your products. You can, of course, train them on frequently asked questions, provide training materials. We just ask that you complete this battle card before we confirm a scheduled sales enablement session. And then, of course, we would really appreciate the opportunity to do the same for your sales team. Linked here, I have an external folder where we showcase a lot of our competitor information. So feel free to share that out if you would find it useful. But of course, we want to equip your sales team to be able to speak to competitive differences or common questions within the CI/CD space. Obviously, webinars are always very popular with partners. For webinars, we're asking that we have at least 10 organizations using the integration, just so we know that there's confirmed initial interest moving forward, and that we can get an audience to attend these webinars. There's two types of webinars. The second is newer from our end. So the first is Circle CI hosted, and we're planning on hosting 3 to 5 webinars a quarter. For either Circle CI or partner hosted, we obviously would love to do lead sharing. So any registration or attendance list will be shared both ways. For Circle CI hosted webinars, we can post these on our YouTube channel. We take the lead on the landing page and the deck for the presentation and kind of the coordination behind the practice sessions as well. We ask that the partner sends over an abstract for those. So again, through the form, if you would like to reserve a spot, please just submit a topic and we'll reach out to confirm a date based on other campaigns that we might be running or things that we're seeing in the industry once we have those potential topics. For partner-hosted webinars, if you don't want to wait for a slot on our calendar, we are always happy to provide a co-host and of course some promotion if you want to host it yourself. In that instance, the partner would take the lead on creating the landing page, the deck, the abstract, and then it would be hosted on your preferred platform. And finally, I just wanted to talk through some media opportunities. We've been starting to explore a lot of joint thought leadership articles. If your marketing team has an idea for a co-authored contribution to a publication, we would love to partner with you on that piece of content. Again, since our content team's bandwidth is going to be a little shorter, we're asking partners just to take the lead on securing interest from the publication. So we do have partners who are involved in the Forbes Tech Council, or who like to contribute articles to devops.com. So if you would like to do that or co-author that with Circle CI, just please send over the topic or abstract that has been approved, and then the publication name, and of course, any timelines that you would expect our team to meet when it comes to content edits and inputs. So just wrapping up here, how are we going to measure the success of these campaigns? We are shifting our numbers from activity to impact. Instead of measuring the amount of partners we meet with or the amount of webinars that we produce, we're going to shift to what came from those activities. How many new users are now using the integration? How many of our customer-facing teams are downloading those battle cards or engaging with them? How many page visits or authorizations did we get from the themed launches? And then from a business development and marketing standpoint, we'll be tracking new organizations, new paid organizations, new engaged orgs, MQLs, SQLs, and SALs. If there are other metrics that are important to your team, please send them over. I can always try to work with our data team and see if there's a way to pull that. Obviously, I can't promise anything, but we want to make sure that the partnership is mutually beneficial. So if you prove your value in other ways, we're happy to hear that as well. And finally, I know that there was a lot of different information in the webinar deck, but if there were channels that you have found are really successful for your audience that I didn't mention, we would of course love to support those activities as well. Some common ones that we hear are podcasts or live streams such as Twitch, or maybe trying out some new channels for co-branded ad campaigns. So if you have an existing audience in any of these different channels, or you want to try to partner with us on maybe a LinkedIn Live or something along those lines that I may have not mentioned, that's definitely not out of the question. We are always happy. There's another space in that form, which I'm mentioning tirelessly, where you can submit some new channel opportunities as well. And then if there are any outstanding questions, I'll open that up now. I see one already. Can you tell us how to get the battle card template? Yes, of course. It is not only linked in this deck that we'll send out, but I'll also be sending a follow-up email that will be linked to that battle card as well. It's a Google Doc that you just make a copy of, and it's, I think, half a page long or maybe 3/4 of a page, and we break it out into the external information that'll be shared and then the internal information for our customer-facing teams. I'll just give it a couple minutes here. If you don't have any questions, again, we really appreciate your time this morning. I'm really looking forward to seeing some interest submissions through that form. And I'm really looking forward to a busy yet impactful 2020. So if you have any questions, feel free to stay on, type them through the webinar chat. But if not, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much.